a process where you got to do little things, and don't get upset if something drops, but little things, whether it's swimming or biking, you're getting stronger, you're getting faster, you're getting better. In the business world, trust the process. You're hiring different people. You're moving people to the right seats on the bus. You've just got to have whatever process you have.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. We are continuing the conversation with our guest, Steve Nabity, today. And he sold that business, right, that he talked about yesterday. And he's going to talk about the process of selling that business. But we dive into how he made some amazing hires, how he embraced an amazing culture, the importance of that. And again, we're going to dive into some more personal things that are in the ups and downs of life and how that affected his business and his family. And I think he's going to teach you so much more again today. If you can embrace a few of these things, it's not going to matter if it's business or family. You're gonna move forward in a successful way. Steve, welcome back to the show. I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation. I hope the listeners stayed till the end of the show yesterday, because I think it took a turn that nobody expected, and I think it probably had some of the more important lessons than we probably ever talk about on the show. And so that are bigger than real estate, bigger than syndicating a deal or raising money or how to structure that commercial real estate deal is what Steve and I talked about yesterday, especially towards the end. So Steve, I just want to welcome you back and say I'm grateful for your time. Pleasure to meet you. And let's dive right back in. You bought and sold numerous businesses, and we were talking about your businesses yesterday to some degree, but we were just getting, I think, towards the real estate business as well. Let's talk about some of that, selling the business and kind of what happened and moving on from there.
Whitney, thank you. On yesterday, our conversation did take a turn, but the conversation was about doing life.
That's right.
And everybody is doing life, and it is not easy. And I appreciate you having that conversation with me. It doesn't happen that often, but you know how life is and how you get led to start talking. And I did. So thank you on that. And you were talking about selling the business. From the different companies we were growing, and my goal was always to sell the business. And we got to the point in 2019 that was decided to sell the business. And one of the things about yesterday I talked about is starting businesses. We had 5 businesses that were under a portfolio under Tech Brands that were all started from scratch. We knew nothing about the business. So if we can do it, anybody can do it, in the sense you don't need to know everything about everything and everything to head west on the journey. And one of the things, when we got to the point of selling the business in 2019, we hired an investment banker, and we went through the process, got 17 offers, and by the time we got done, we selected somebody. And when we looked at the numbers, and you think that I'm doing business for 35 years, and everybody's dream is to sell the business, and you always have high expectations what the price should be. And well, the price came in lower than anybody thought, even what we thought and what the investment banker thought. And when it came in, the only way to describe it, if you're a baseball, if you know anything about baseball, it's like a little bit more than a base hit. Well, and I had this kind of conviction in my stomach that there's that phrase, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. And that means, hey, you got a bird in the hand's worth better than two in the bush. Just take the deal. Investment bankers saying, do the deal. Well, about 2 weeks before closing, COVID hit. Private equity firms said, let's delay it until the end of May. This was in March of 2020. And the private equity firm said, let's put it on hold. And we agreed, because we didn't know anything about COVID and how it was going to affect. But when our business was direct to consumer and retail, and when our retail stores closed, and then the government was locking people in the homes, and our core business was quilting. What do quilters do when they're in their home and locked in, can't move? They quilt like crazy. And our business overnight shifted. And the only way to describe it, if you go in the Bible, Moses is at the Red Sea, and all of a sudden, God parts the Red Sea for Moses and the people to go through. Right in front of our eyes, the Red Sea, the quilting Red Sea parted, and our business just took off. And we decided to take it off the market. And that decision was our team, everybody in our company was going to get funds from the sale of the company. That's one of the things Lynette and I wanted to do. And including 20 years ago, I'm going to add this little thing. I have, before we sold, still have the company. We have 2 manufacturing plants in the Nebraska State Penitentiary. And part of our manufacturing, we had up 100 people, 100 inmates working for us, getting going rate. But that's another story. We sat down with the team, and the team said, no, we're not going to sell. Let's run it again, because things are happening. And one of the things I did, Whitney, and this was tough for me, I knew I needed to get a CEO in. And I had multiple CEOs. I'm the owner of the company, but I had an advisory board, and that's when I recommend anybody have an advisory board. You have mentors, but I had an advisory board of 4 to 5 people. I've had them for 20 years, different people in and out, to help guide the business and what we're doing. So I took one of my board members, Mary Kay O'Connor Wente. She's from San Francisco, big and billion-dollar businesses. She came in, and I let her run the business. I had to back away. My ego, this is me. I used to run it. I created it from scratch and et cetera. And she worked with me and said, Steve, I got the business. You take strategy and vision. I'll take care of everything else. A great team. I love her dearly. She was awesome. Anyway, 18 months later comes around. We decide to put it back on the market. And with a new investment banker, Bridgepoint Investment Banking out of Omaha, and they were absolutely awesome. Whitney, when we were talking about in our faith in the first meeting, these guys were solid. Morals the same. Our values matched our values. We aligned up. I needed a partner that understood me and our business to take it to market. We ended up taking it to market again 18 months later. And I used the analogy. Then the first one, we got a base hit. The second time, we got the home run we were talking about. And because the business value grew, and everybody in the company got blessed, including the inmates in the pen. And what I learned from that in the process, could you plan? Did you know COVID was coming back in 2019?
I wish I had it, right?
Yeah. And was there a book at Amazon about that, about COVID? No. One of the things and one of our core values is that you have to embrace change. It's very difficult to predict the future, but build your organization, your family, things around you that you can quickly adapt to the change and take advantage, minimize risk. But no one knew about COVID. We were heading west, like Lewis and Clark going up the river. They're going up the Missouri River. All of a sudden there's a couple mountain lions looking at them. They didn't plan that. Same in life and business with COVID. That happened. All you can do is go through that and continue on the journey. Control your attitude and your effort and move on and head west. And that's the key of our organization, was embrace the change. And some people say embrace the suck, how they call that. And we hired people, Whitney, that thought that way, that wanted to be, because in our business with the quilting, with the AccuQuilt company, how many books are in Amazon? on being the leader in fabric cutting for quilting. Do you know how many books there were?
Probably none.
There were none. And in your organization, you got to have people that fit into your culture. We didn't care if you came from Harvard and you were the smartest guy. And I did graduate work at Harvard. But if you were the Harvard and the smartest guy and you didn't fit our culture, you weren't coming in. And we took people in that fit our culture, but wanted to do extraordinary things with little information. In our businesses, we didn't know anything, and that's why we grew them. But if you can embrace change in today's world, that's gonna hurt you. Whether it's real, you can apply it to real estate. How many people in 21 predicted the real estate rates increasing in 22? What percent were absolutely correct?
1%.
There weren't that many. The experts.
Yeah.
Come on, you had people on your podcast, and there's a lot of people saying what's going to happen, and they all missed it. So you must build your organization to adapt to that. Sometimes the experts aren't right. The experts told us not to be an AccuQuilt. We're not right. So you've got to have that discernment, and it's going to come, and may even come from your wife.
Yeah.
Because my wife has given me a lot of discernment.
I believe that. Mine has so many times. Even this past week, I was actually sharing with our team about it just a few days ago, just about how my wife's not a business person per se, or in the real estate business, but I can share things with her, and I just think the Lord just speaks through her and gives her discernment that I just have to learn to listen to. So. But I wanted to ask you, about, you talk about the importance, obviously, of hiring the right people and to fit in the culture. They're willing to do extraordinary things with little information. I love that, and being able to embrace the change. I guess 2 parts here. Give us some technical or some of the technical side of hiring that type of individual. How do you know that through the hiring process? How do you fill that out? And let's start there.
If you've got it figured out, let me know. But I'll tell you, we've evolved over the years. We try to do as much external testing as we can, whether it's predictive index or Gallup or DISC and et cetera. Just try to minimize. When you hire somebody, you want to start the process and kind of narrow it down. And then I'm not looking for experience of people that have done extraordinary things over and over and over and over again. I want to hire people that have had a fail. I want to know what they did after the fail, because we're all going to have them. What do you do if you've always won the football game, and then I bring you in and we have the economy changes, something changes? How do you respond as a leader or a director, et cetera? It's more important how you reacted. So that was one of them. And I love it. And I learned that from a mentor of mine who told me that. And so I passed that on. And it also depends on the job too. You got to have successes and achievements and et cetera. But like everything else, you just got to keep digging in. One of the things I love doing is if it looks like it's going well, I then try to convince them not to work for me. Why do you want to come work here in quilting? It's not sexy. It's not Google. It's not Facebook. It's not high tech. Why do you want to do this? You don't want to work for us. We don't have it all figured out. If you're looking for a company that has all the answers, that's not us. You got to work long hours. It's a team. I mean, that type of stuff in that process. And I'm looking more for how they answer the question, how they perceive challenges in life. And we talk about family. I know you're not supposed to in an interview, but somehow to weave in, and and it just like it started with us, it just happens.
Yeah.
But you're working with this person 8 hours a day. You're spending more time with them than your spouse. As a company, 8 hours a day. It's a family in our business. It is a family, and we have a unique culture. We did have a unique culture that you need to guard jealously. And the reason I say that is I bought a company, and I chased, that's another God discernment deal that I didn't listen to. And that was way back in my early career. I chased a financial statement and tried to marry two cultures together, failed miserably.
Yeah.
And I get to see God going, hey, I told you 30 times not to do it, but okay, if you want to do it, that's fine. And I've never, again, if it doesn't fit the culture, if you don't fit or whatever, if it's not fitting, I'm not doing it. And I do get that discernment gut feel when I know I'm going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But it's not easy to hire people, and there's experts, but try to minimize as much as you can.
I could not agree with you more. Everything you said there, and we've learned it hard way. I feel like a few times, and so, but we're doing better, I think. But also, what about after you've hired, you've built this team? Maybe give us a couple tips on creating and maintaining that kind of culture of what you said, right? Doing extraordinary things with a little info, embracing the change, those things. Couple tips there.
The one thing is when we hired people, Whitney, is that we want people to come in that want to own their own business mentally. And the key is to get out of the way, to motivate them, be encouraging, have tough conversations when things don't go right. But the people we hired and wanted to hire are somebody that wanted to make a difference, give them the resources, give them the ownership. I don't mean so much in stock, and we had phantom stock and things like that, but people that want to take and run with it. We did not want to be a company where we told you what to do, because we're idiots. We don't know anything from that side of it. We're learning new things every day. But when you foster that environment and you embrace change, and you win and celebrate and have fun. And if you look down the head west, one of our core values, and if you take in the head west type environment, D stands, and this is is don't believe your own BS. Meaning that you may think an idea is so great and you're mostly attached to it and et cetera, and you're not listening to anybody, and it's great. That's believing you. That's that bias in your brain. And you must surround yourself with people that will call your baby ugly. And it was in our company. Is that if I have a dumb idea, if I have an idea that I think is great, you better pick it apart. And I need to have enough humbleness to hear what they say and not get upset. And we built that culture. You could be in the executive meeting and there were no sacred cows, no anything. And if you can be around, have that team that, as they say in Good to Great, attack the squigglies fast and fix problems very, very fast, it's magical. It's absolutely magical. It hasn't always been that way because things happen, but you've got to let them run. You've got to give them the encouragement. And you as a leader have to be that humble servant leader to let them tell you things that are wrong.
Love it. We could just keep on and on about it, Steve. I know there's so much. If a listener just listened to the last 10 minutes and just applied that, they're gonna do so much better. I want to. We just have a few minutes left, and so I want to get to a couple other things with you. I know you. You and I have talked a little bit about it, or you mentioned that this process in life and business, and sticking to this process, and then you can do amazing things. So I want you to be able to elaborate on that a little bit while we just have a few minutes left here, and let's talk about this process.
And even Nick Saban, and the football coach at Alabama, when new kids come into Alabama, it is the freshmen and et cetera, the beginning of the year, it's frustrating, et cetera. And Nick Saban says, trust the process. If we just do the little things correctly every day from spring season to the season, we will do great things. That's in your business. Trust the process. We put in multiple Vern Harnish systems, EOS systems. Trust the process. It's kind of difficult and what have you. When I was racing Ironman triathlons, I started at 58, had to learn how to swim. And I could get in the water, but I didn't know how to swim competitively. I didn't know you held your breath. I mean, I didn't know you breathe out underwater when you take a breath and then you blow it out in the water. I thought you held your breath.
I wouldn't know it either.
Oh my gosh. But I hired the Brad Sang, the strong Christian coach of the University of Colorado Buffalo's Collegiate National Championship. I hired him and he had a process. And it took a year. That's a long time, but in business world, a process where you got to do little things, and don't get upset if something drops, but little things, whether it's swimming or biking, you're getting stronger, you're getting faster, you're getting better. In the business world, trust the process. You're hiring different people. You're moving people to the right seats on the bus. You've just got to have whatever process you have. And in our case, we started with Gazelle Systems, Vern Harnish, then went to the EOS system. We needed something that we could track daily, and we all bought into it. And in that business world, and it worked really, really, really well. And it helped us concentrate on the things that were going to move the needle, not on activity. And a lot of people get caught up. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, doing this, doing this. And if it sounds good and it feels good and you feel like you accomplished something, but you didn't achieve anything, the car's still sitting at the stop sign. You know, I put new oil in, but I filled up the tires and I put gas in the car and well, you never stepped on the gas pedal to head west. You're sitting there at the stop sign worrying about what's in the glove box and I got to vacuum the seats and I got to do all this stuff. Step on the gas pedal and go and learn it on the way from that perspective.
Love it. It sounds like hiring a coach was instrumental, right? You talked about having a board of advisors even earlier, in the segment. I think it's crucial. I think, doing something like an Ironman, again, in case the listeners missed it, you started that at 58 and trained and you hired a coach and somebody to help you even learn to swim competitively at 58. I think it's incredible. But so many lessons that you learn from that is directly applied to business and family and all those things.
And when you say that, when you surround yourself, you have mentors, advisory boards. And part of that is back to the culture. Don't believe your own whatever. You need people around you that will challenge you. I was talking about the 60-year-old group guys, Christian business guys. It's iron sharpen iron. And yes, we all screw up. We all do things. And you need people around you that will encourage you, but call you out when things happen. That's how but you got to come in from the sense of humility. And I had no problem with our advisory board. I hired people that would be tough on me from that perspective. And that's all part of the process. And as you go in your business career or your life career, life coach, business coach, it's interesting. When you play football, you're playing for a coach, right? In sports, anything, there's a coach. But for some reason, business guys get in the business world and they go, I don't need a coach. I got it all figured out. I got a graduate degree. I'm pretty smart. I figured that later in life, but I mean, in before I got in, but why don't we do that? Why don't business guys right out of the chute go find a business coach? And one of the things you're talking about money that you in the first session, you were talking about, I had to pay this money. A good friend of mine, John, has a saying, and you think about this, and I've used this. Money buys you experience. Experience makes you money. So investing in yourself and from that side, and what I did in real estate, my side hustle when I was in side hustle in business. I mean, in real estate when I was growing my companies. But one of the things that I wanted to do is on the real estate side is get as much education as fast as I could. Cost money. Money buys you experience. Experience makes you money. And the goal there is try to get as much experience as you can, fast as you can. So then that experience makes you money, so you can do with what God wants you to do with that.
Love that. Love that quote too, Steve. Just the pushing the listeners as well to have that board of advisors, people around you that challenge you. But you mentioned it a couple of times, and I think it's even worth saying it again. And you said it as like you have to have humility, you have to be humble and be prepared. Like you have to be looking for them to criticize you, right? And be expectant. And you have to come from a place of humility, so you're ready to receive that and know that it's all on your head, right? Otherwise, it's going to strike you.
And sometimes it's not easy. I'm a type A guy, and you think what you're doing is great and it's going in the right direction, but you want people around you, and you get yourself in trouble when you think you know it all, when you think you have all the answers, and et cetera. And we're talking about our spouses and Lynette, and I'm doing something, I think it's great going there, and she'll just blow it up. Her discernment. It's like, oh man, but you have to come from humility. Sometimes it's harder than you think, but again, I think God works with you over the years to get you to that point. And all I can say is that for business people, whether you're running a business, you're doing real estate, and et cetera, surround yourself with people that will help mold you, not the right people that have your best interests at heart. That and when you get to this age now, because I had people around me, you get to the point where then you pass it on. If someone's helping you, you don't take it in internally and go, hey, this is my secret. Pass it on. There's people downstream that would love to hear of your failures and successes and how you overcame them. And I'm encouraging everybody, what you learned, pass it on, because you'll never know the discussion that may come out of it, like our first meeting.
Right. Steve, so grateful to have met you and had you on the show. We got just like 3 or 4 minutes left here. I want to hit just a couple final questions with you. And before we have to end this segment as well. But Steve, what are some of the most important metrics that you track? It could be personally or professionally.
On the in the business side, every company we had metrics in our business, and it won't make any difference in if I give you the metric. But I'm a firm believer having fewer metrics than more. When we were selling our business, we had 3 metrics. And with 3 metrics, they all aligned, but they were opposite one another. Because if you did one really well, you could and this was EBITDA and things sold and down products. And you must have metrics that counterbalance each other, no matter what your business is from that side. A life metric, I don't have a life metric except, and this is when you're running the business, but today, how much time am I spending with my wife? How much time am I leaning into our last chapter? I look at that all the time. I have rituals in the morning that what I do when I get up, in the sense of get ready for the day. But as a metric of a number of how many days I'm doing this, I don't have that. It's just, I want to be present. I want to be. The challenge I have is that I want to use the real estate side business to promote what we want to do, and not as to grow this really great thing. And what we're doing is we're preserving wealth. So we have a budget at 67. We have a budget. We want to spend. We don't want to just spend. We got things we want to do. We have a limit. We have a family office. And it's, what are we going to do to finish strong from that side? And we don't have it all figured out. And we meet quarterly to figure out what's that look and how the foundation and whatever from that side. But Lynette and I want to make what God's had blessed us with, make an impact in other people's lives. And we don't have it all figured out yet, but we're going to get there.
What you halfway mentioned it, but any other habits that you would share that you're disciplined about?
Yeah, every morning I get up and spend time reading the Bible. Yeah, I did this morning. Go sit in a chair out, looking at the window with my cup of coffee, first thing in the morning. The other thing is habit-wise to get ready for the day is I try to. It's not all the time, but I want to have everything planned out the next day. Because sometimes if I don't do that, I wake up in the morning and it's just all like this. But I want to plan it out the day, work through it, and try to. A fault of mine in the past has been I had way too many things. I want 3 to 5 things, and there are really important things that need to get done, and I do that. But the first thing is starting off the day with the Lord. And when I don't do that, things just seem a little different.
I can relate to that. What about the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
Having Jesus Christ walk along with us through very tough times, such that along the journey, we are taking what he's given us to bless other people. Absolutely. If we didn't have it, if Lynette didn't have it, I don't know what we would be doing. And from a faith perspective, that's number one. A supportive family, number two. And both my dad and my father-in-law were entrepreneurs, so we all grew up in that environment. So it wasn't, but at the same time is you need a great team. You need a team that believes in the mission and the strategy and fits the culture. And if you put that together, it's magical. It's absolutely magical. It's not easy. It's not easy. And we've made major mistakes over the years. But if you can find that sooner than later, Katie barred the door and damn the torpedoes, as they say, full steam ahead.
Steve, how do you like to give back?
I love giving back with the pay it forward mindset. Because of our daughter, our daughter Kara dying during heart surgery, and knowing parents that it's not easy having a special needs child, special needs in the sense of medically, she was born with that. Lynette and I want to lean into families that way. And one of the things we've done, and we talked on the first show, is as a grandparent, we're in our last chapter of life. We want to lean into grandparents so they can be a more intentional Christian grandparent, because biblically it says that the grandparents can affect the next generation and next generation, 3 generations by what you do. And if we have one little impact on that, Lynette and I would be so happy.
Wow. Steve, you've been an inspiration. Very grateful to have met you, had you on the show. I just appreciate your transparency and just even diving into some of the hardest stuff that families can go through. But I think it's just it's a testimony, right, of what the Lord's done in your family and in your all's marriage and faith and walk, and how that is now just, kind of bleeding out to in so many directions to bless so many people through what the Lord's done in your all's life and businesses. And I can't thank you enough for just spending this extended period of time with us today, and being able to do a couple longer shows like this. Very grateful just for your experience and wisdom, being willing to share it. Again, how can the listeners get in touch with you and learn more about you?
Whitney, it's been a blessing being on your show, and I thank you for that, because the fun things about this, you never know where the conversations are going to go. You may have it all laid out, and that's how my life has been. Yeah, I never knew a rolling pin would do something, or a quilter, but I thank you from that side. They can get a hold of me, Steve Nabity at Skyline Point Capital. My email address is steve.nabity at Skyline Point Capital. I'd love to talk to anybody. If someone wants to reach out and has questions, and if I can pay it forward and help one little bit, I would be a happy camper.
Thank you for being with us again today. I hope that you have learned a lot from the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you're telling your friends about the Real Estate Syndication Show and how they can also build wealth in real estate. You can also go to lifebridgecapital.com and start investing today.